Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to start implementing authentication in our own Blogify app, right? And we will then add a proper login and sign up feature. And by the end, like probably when we finish authentication or when we finish authentication, we will start adding some middlewares to the code so that you can only add a post if you are logged in, or you can only add a comment if you are logged in. And when we actually implement our update and delete features, then we'll allow only the owner of the particular post or comment to edit it or to delete it, right? Not anybody can just come and edit and delete it whenever they want to. That makes sense, right? Great. So that's what we will do. And all right, so let's just start. Great. So what I'm going to do, currently I'm in my Blogify directory and I have my app.js open here, right? And I also have my terminal open in which I'm in my Blogify directory. And I have my Mongo daemon running now so that we don't forget to do that later on. Alright. Great, so Mongo daemon is now running. Excellent. So now in the Blogify, what I'll do is, first off, we'll have to install Passport, the 4 packages that you need for any authentication, right? To remind you, Passport, Passport Local Mongoose, and Express Session, right? But before we do that, because that is some installing that will take time, let's just make the folders that we need here. So the only thing that we'll need is a user schema, right? Okay, we'll make that later. Right now I'll just do npm i -s. Let's install all of them at once. Passport local, Passport local mongoose, and the last is Express Session. Great. And whenever I'm installing some packages in which I may have made some spelling errors, I like to check it from here, because if I'm getting a version number like 1.17.1 or something like this, then definitely the correct package has been installed, because if we are getting some version number, means that package exists, right? And this is just to tell you that if you ever you're facing a problem, then this could be a issue that you might have spelled your package wrong or something, and it might have installed something else or something weird, but you can check that from here, right? Great. So now, so before we set up our passport, I would want to set up our user schema, right? Because we want the user to have some details, of course. So that we will have to do inside the models, right? So I'll make a new file inside models, which will be, so inside the models, if I see here, I have blog.js and comment.js till now. So I'll just simply add user.js. And then I can open that from here too. It's the same thing, right? Not comment, user. Great. And now let's set up a schema. So first off, like always, I'll do const mongoose is equal to require mongoose. Great. Then I'll do const user schema is equal to new mongoose.schema, and then we'll give the schema here. And the schema, for now, we'll just let it be, let's say name, which will be a string, of course. We'll have an email. So email also we have to take as a string. We could use some email validator later if we want to, but we can work without that for now. And the password, right? The password isn't actually used. We stored it as salt or hash, but anyway, I'll just keep it here. Great. Or we could just remove it for now. Excellent. So now, like always, we'll have to do model.exports is equal to, there's one thing left in this, but we'll get to that in just a moment. So mongoose.model, again we could do that here, and but it is, I always like if we follow a specific convention in a specific code. And if we see here, we have first created the model and then exported that one name, right? So anyway, so I'll do const user is equal to mongoose.model, and it will be user schema. And we haven't worked with databases a lot yet, so let me just go over the syntax again. What we are doing is we are basically requiring mongoose up here. That's great. Next, we are making a schema, which is the second step of of setting up your database, in which we are telling which field is of which type and which all fields are we expecting. It is not necessary to always stick to this one thing, right? And then we are making a model out of it. This needs to be something. So if this is user, the collection name will become users, right? And we are also passing the schema, telling the model that this is the kind of thing that we should expect from here, right? And then we can just export this schema. Excellent. So now this would be great if we were not using users for authentication, right? But we are using them for authentication, and we are going to use passport a lot. So of course we'll need to plug in passport to this too, right? So I'll do const passport local. We don't actually plug in passport in the schema, we plug in passport local mongoose, right? And I'll require passport local mongoose. Great. So this way we have required the thing, and only thing that we have to do after this is we have to do user schema dot plugin passport local mongoose. So if you don't remember what this does, this basically requires everything from this package, right? Which includes the functions that we might need to implement passport with Node.js, right? With mongoose, right? So and it actually puts all of these functions inside the user schema, and we don't have to type them out separately. Due to which later on we can use things like user dot register, right? Which we would not be able to do if we were not plugging in this thing, right? Great. So this way we have created the user schema, and we are good to go with that, right? The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to import that user schema in here, right? Okay, we're not going to import it here. We do not actually need it in the app.js. So all the authentication that we do will be inside the index routes in here, but the app.use statements do not go inside the routes, right? So we'll have to do the configuration inside the app.js, right? So let's first require our packages. So I'll do passport is equal to require passport const passport. Okay, this is named as local. I mean, it's of course it's your choice. It doesn't actually matter what you're naming it, but I've always named it this, and hence I like to name it this. You could choose to do something else if you wish to. Passport local const passport local mongoose is equal to require passport local mongoose, and the last thing const express session is equal to require express session. Great. So now we have required our 4 packages that we need for our authentication, right? And now what we can do is we can use these packages as they are supposed to be used, right? So I'll do that after these before these app.use statements, right? And I'll put a comment saying passport authentication. And it's better to have like comments before all the sections of the code so that we can get some clarity later when we come back. So I'll add another comment here that these are just the general app.use and dot set statements. Right, these are just general things, not very specific to a specific feature, right? Because we are using slash public here, we are using body parser here, so it's not a specific feature, right? The passport authentication we are going to do here, right? So let's just start. So what we have to do is we have to do app dot use passport dot initialize. Great. App dot use. I'm doing this from scratch, but it's your choice. You could just go to your previous auth demo app and copy all the lines from there, and it won't actually change, right? Passport dot session. Okay, these two lines are done. Next, we have to do we'll have to do passport dot use new local strategy user dot authenticate. And this reminds me we will need to import the user schema in here, right? Okay, so let's do that after this. This is becoming a little weird, so I'll just redo these things in just a minute, right? And you'll see what I'm talking about. So const user is equal to require. Within the app.js, we need to go inside the routes, and then we need to go inside user. Not the routes, sorry, the models. User. Great. So now I actually like to have things in a increasing fashion. So that's great. This goes up here. Excellent. This goes here. Excellent. And where will this go? This will go here, and this can go. So the thing is it doesn't actually matter in which order you are requiring your things, right? Because the only thing is this const app is equal to express should be after this require statement, and that's why I'm doing that. Otherwise, I would keep this on the top, and after that, I've kept it as an increasing order, right? Great, and this just looks good. Great. So now let's just do what we were doing. So okay, so user.authenticate. Great, great. So the next thing that we were doing is that is passport dot serialize user dot serialize. What did I do? I had to do user dot serialize user. Excellent. And I'll copy this down just so I do not mess up the spelling here, and I'll change this to deserialize. So these have been done, and there's just one left, which is app dot use. So express session needs to be spelled properly. I think I have, right? Great. Then we do this and we pass in an object, and that object is secret. This is the, I'm not a very good secret, of course, but anyway. Then we'll have resave true. Again, these are just the properties that you are supposed to have. And save uninitialized, and this needs to be false, sorry, right? Save uninitialized needs to be false too. Great. So now our passport has basically been set up. Passport authentication does not make sense. This needs to be passport setup. Great. So our passport has been set up to use in our app, and we can now access all the functionalities like we did in the auth demo app, right? And I'll leave this here for this video, and in the next video we'll start implementing some logic to do the login, logout, etc., etc., right? Great. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next.